Content Farm 14. You may notice that we've got some Elden Ring artwork up again. I have Elden Ring artwork up on OBS. Basically, for the beginning of this episode, I'm going to revisit Nightreign because we talked about Nightreign 2 episodes ago with Clyde. That was like fresh off release. That was the weekend the game came out. I was kind of, feelings were still up in the air, I think, for most people and for me as well. A lot of my opinions haven't changed. Some of them have. But back then I had like played maybe like a third or a half of the game with my friends. At this point, I finished the whole game a while ago, like a week ago. So I think I'm all settled in regards to how I feel about it as it is, as the game stands right now.
All right, let's hear it.
You haven't even fucking played it yet, have you?
I've watched a few people play it.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Like I said, I've kind of burnt out on Souls-like games.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I have watched some streams and some gameplay.
Yeah, well, I mean, anyway,
I'm not as familiar as you are.
No. If you want me to like elaborate on anything, just for the sake of like, making it more interesting, or if you got any burning questions, just shoot. Yeah, but I'm just gonna go straight into it. Basically, I want to preface by saying that like, I'm not. I like Souls games only since like COVID. That was when I first got into them. But I'm not like a pro Souls player. I'm not one of those like Souls challenge runners or like a hardcore Souls player. And the reason I bring that up is, first of all, because there's no elite, to have clarified that there's no like elitist attitude, and also it's going to be relevant because if you're really good at Souls games, then that might sway your opinion on this game a lot because it makes a difference. We'll get into that in a bit, but basically, in terms of like just diving straight in, like in terms of an out of 10 review, it's complicated because there's multiple ways that people will experience the game depending on how you are and who you know. So I've
like your friends, or
yeah, I made that sound really like ominous, but you know what I mean. Like, so I have 3 rankings. There's a ranking when you have 2 friends who are good at Souls games. So there's 3 of you. And there's a ranking for if you're solo queuing with randoms, so not playing the game solo, but you're solo queuing with 2 randoms. And there's a ranking for literally playing the game solo, like turning it onto single player mode and raw dogging the game by yourself. So first of all, with 2 friends, which is how I was lucky enough to play the game, because I actually have 3 friends, which was kind of annoying because that meant one person was left out all the time.
I know 3 friends is so annoying. Like, please keep it 2.
Like, back off, guys. Like, but it was annoying because sometimes there was always one person left out, and it was a couple of times it was me because I get home from work the last. So it was me a couple of times, but. For me, playing the game with 2 friends, which is how I experienced it 99% of the time, the game was a solid 7 out of 10. And, whoa, calm down. When I say 7 out of 10, I kind of went over this last time a little bit. I feel like 7 out of 10 has like a stigma from like IGN. As like being
anything out of 10 has a stigma from every game reviewer, because the whole scale is broken, and
that's what I mean. The scale is broken, but that's why I want to clarify that when I say 7 out of 10, I'm saying like 10 is masterpiece, 0 is like Concord, and 5 is like just a mediocre medium game that's like quite good and quite bad, just an average game. So when I give it a 7 out of 10, I do mean it's significantly better than an average game. That that's what I'm saying. There's a lot that goes into that, but that's my ranking for how I played it with two friends. But my ranking for if you're playing with randoms, the game shoots down to a 4 out of 10, which again, if you're going off my like realistic scale, is like just less than an average game. So I feel like I'm not being overly harsh, but obviously we're going to go into all of this in a minute, like why that changes so much. And finally, the rank for if you're playing completely solo, no matchmaking, by yourself, the game is a 2 out of 10. It's literally very, very bad. The game is very, very bad if you just solo queue the game.
Well, I feel like that applies to a lot of games, honestly. Like, especially multiplayer games, where like something like, I don't know, like PUBG or Fortnite even or something. Like if you go in with like a squad of your buddies who know what they're doing, you're gonna have a blast. Like you're gonna have some good fights. You're gonna have some good adventures. And if you go in with a bunch of random, it's just not gonna be as fun. People are gonna go all over the place. No one's listening. There's no cohesion.
Yeah.
You get some open mics that kind of drives you insane. And then if you solo queue and don't fill, that's going to be a pretty bad experience. So
it is, but I like yes and no, because in the genre of game that we're talking about here, like a roguelike, it's not PvP, like a co-op roguelike. If you think of all of the games like this, all competition, all similar games, they're very playable, if not encouraged to be played solo. Like most of them. It's not often that you play a game that's like only 2 or 3 player, otherwise the game is broken. Like it doesn't make sense. Like you can't play it solo.
I would argue that it's generally because it's made for single player, and the multiplayer is something that's kind of added as an afterthought, or is kind of like a side. Whereas they take the single player experience and they toss a little bit of difficulty in it to make it multiplayer. Whereas Nightreign, from the bottom up, multiplayer game, 3-party group, kind of like Left 4 Dead is kind of multiplayer game, 4-party group,
Yeah.
So
fair.
I think it's a little bit more set in stone in that regard.
Fair. I'll talk more about the solo stuff later, but just to keep that in the back of your minds. Okay. I want to start off just by now that I've given like the rankings, I want to just talk about like just point by point. I want to go through positive stuff first. There's a lot of really positive stuff about this game, and I'm just gonna list all the things that I liked about this game first before we talk about like stuff that's or stuff that's just like actually kind of aggressively bad. So the week or week and a half that me and my friends like played this game very often was genuinely some of the most co-op fun like we've had as a friend group in many years, in a really long time. It's fantastic because you have to lock in so hard, and there's so much communication, there's so much strategizing, you're under so much pressure, and it's one of those games where like you're trying to be like as efficient as possible, and there's so many ways you can do it because you're on the time limit, and you're like, okay, we can go to this location first and we can get like this item that we need for the final boss, or we can go to this location and get like an extra heal, and it's all happening so fast, and you are rewarded for communicating like concisely and effectively with your teammates, which isn't good if you're solo queuing, because the game has no quick chat or like the game has no like quick text chat or any kind of voice chat at all. So if you're with randoms, you're basically just
there's no way to communicate.
No, you can ping items, but pinging an item isn't really that helpful because that could kind of mean anything. Like there's 2 players.
Can you ping like the ground, like go over here, look at this. Okay.
No. You can ping the map. So yeah, that is effectively it. Yeah, but and it does make like a line in the sky, but you have to open the map and then scroll around the map and ping the map every single time. Instead of just being like ping a direction. It's not.
Yeah, like look, there's a mob over here. Or
No.
Try to avoid this fire pit or something.
No, it's not. It's not that nice.
That's wild.
That seems like
think they'd at least have some contextual pinging or something, like the bare minimum.
It is the bare minimum,
especially a game like that with such
That I think that's something that's likely to get added because that seems like an easy addition. So I think that could get added. But anyway, yeah, this is supposed to be positive. This is supposed to be positive, okay? They're communicating with friends and like running around doing shit as fast as possible. Bum rushing bosses, clearing out POIs is so satisfying with friends because you're on the time limit is so important that you go in there like fucking SEAL Team 6. Like you just you go in, you just ignore the mobs. You don't even look at the mobs. You just run past it. The mobs eat your fucking dust, and then you find the enemy with the health bar. You kill it. You pick up the loot, and then you run. And then you immediately sprint to the next like POI that you want to go to. That's how fast paced the whole thing is. At least if you want to be good, it is. And
yeah.
Other than that, other than the friend aspect of it, the basic game, in regards to just the way you attack enemies and kill them, and the Elden Ring weapons, the Elden Ring systems, the Elden Ring animations, and the Elden Ring gameplay, In terms of combat, that's all 1-to-1 with base game Elden Ring, which it goes without saying, tried and tested, tried and proven, very good. So there's basically
all the like the weapons, the weapon styles, and the abilities, they're all directly taken from Elden Ring.
Yes.
Okay, there's no like new weapons.
No, not yet. Hopefully one day, but no, there's no new. There's new. Well, I know you weren't talking about enemies, but the main new enemies in the game are like the Night Lord bosses. In terms of like enemies on the field, they're all from Elden Ring, including the bosses on the field as well. The bosses on the field are from Elden Ring, or they've brought back. So this was the next point I had down anyway. The nice surprise is they brought back some really old classic FromSoft bosses. And which is really cool because they look great in Elden Ring. And when you don't know what to expect and you see like, because it's not even like just the most popular ones, it's like there's like Gaping Dragon and Smelter Demon, which is from Dark Souls 2. And there's Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Like these are not like, these were quite random, and they weren't. I hadn't seen them in any trailers or anything, so it was a really nice surprise seeing that they put the effort into to bring some of these into a new game, because that's not the kind of thing they would normally do. So I wasn't really expecting that to happen.
The Dark Souls community would probably be against any sort of voice communication because it's against the vibe of Dark Souls. There's no voice chat in any of our games. Or something.
But this is the multiplayer game.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is kind of a different, a different beast, and it definitely needs, you can always just not use it, but I feel like it should at least something should be there because it's just so important to the multiplayer experience, right?
Yeah, but just finishing off all this positive stuff, all the glazing, just the whole thing from running around the map, hitting all the POIs, clearing the POIs. With your friends who are all locked in, invested, like sweating. And then after all that, defeating the cool bosses, some of them being like surprise returns, like Dancer and shit, beating those. And then making your way all the way to the final Night Lord boss, which is like a raid boss. And taking it down, like going down, getting revived, just like barely holding it together and getting the win. Really, really, really fun. Like I said, with my two friends, it was some of the most co-op fun we've had in a really long time. That's why the game's getting a 7 out of 10 in the conglomerate of 3 friends or 3 people who are decent at Souls games who are able to talk to each other. In that context, really, really, really good. Not like great FromSoft game because other stuff we're about to talk about, but I had so much fun I can't give it lower than 7 out of 10. I had so much fun with that stuff that's just how it is. But yeah, to start, the negative stuff, this is kind of one of the biggest things about the game, and it's going back to the solo thing a little bit, and it's in regards to balancing. Basically, the game's balanced so strange because it's designed around 3 players, but the way it feels is the game's really, really, really hard solo because you're supposed to be playing with 3 people. But when you're locked in with 2 friends like me, it goes from being too hard solo to being like almost too easy with 3 good friends, which is really strange how that works. Because the last like 4, because there's like, I can't remember how many, it's like 8 or 10, maybe less. Actual total Night Lord like hunts that you can go on, so like levels.
Yeah.
The last like 4, I think we did all of them consecutively without failing. And it was really fun, and we were getting like, it wasn't like easy, like we were just fucking steamrolling it. We had scrappy fights where we were going down, but we didn't fail a single time in the last like 4 runs, which was surprisingly easy. And the final boss as well. I was expecting the final boss to be maybe like a huge difficulty spike. He really wasn't. He was cool as fuck though. But again, we beat the final boss first try after first trying the last 3. My two teammates actually went down at the very end of the final boss, and I had to solo him for like a short 45 seconds while I got off the last few shots with my bow and arrow. I was playing the archer character.
Nice.
And I managed to pull it off, but it was really me just taking full credit because he was like practically dead. He just needed a few fucking arrows to the balls, and then I got him down. And I felt cool because I was like, it was like that heroic last stand main character moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you think it's too easy? I mean, not too easy, but I mean, you think it's not difficult enough for a Souls game, or?
I do think it was too easy. Yeah, for the 3 players who were friends, I think it needed. It feels like we didn't finish yet because it felt like what we were doing was appropriately difficult for a little while, and then the game just ended. If that made sense, like the game just ended before we were all expecting like the huge like, oh my god, like whoa, there's like an extra final boss who's really hard, or there's an extra map that's really hard, or there's like, oh shit, like look at this, like the stakes have changed. No, we were just kind of steamrolling the bosses, and then the game ended. That was how it felt for us, playing as friends. But like I just mentioned, on the other complete opposite side of the spectrum, the game's far too hard when you're alone. It's kind of it's actually kind of a joke when you're solo. It's practically impossible to play the game normally because you know how I mentioned before with the POIs that you are on kind of a time limit because the circle will start to shrink in. And when a circle shrinks in, that obviously cuts off the amount of places you can go to. So you got to try and go to like the most important ones. But when you're a solo, it's so much harder to clear these POIs that you're just like, you're way more strapped for time because you go into a POI and you just get ganked because there isn't 3 of you just one-shotting everyone. Like you just get ganked immediately. Like ganked.
I can understand solo being incredibly difficult compared to 3, but what makes it so much more difficult playing with 2 other friends versus playing with randos? Like what's the factor that? I mean, obviously communication, but like what do you need to communicate for? You know, like what falls apart?
But sorry, you mean what falls apart playing with randoms compared to friends? Yeah. So it's kind of when you're playing, you kind of have to say some really specific stuff sometimes. Like because me and my friends would make a plan. Like early on in the game, we'd be like, right, we're gonna go and get that. We're gonna go and get that. The church, which is like a flask, and then we're gonna go and get like because we know the game tells you the weakness of the main Night Lord boss before you start the run. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go and hit all the POIs that have lightning because they're labeled, and we're all gonna have a lightning build, which is the weakness of the final boss. And we're gonna try the final boss.
Okay.
And then sometimes like, well, I say sometimes, almost all the time when you're playing with randoms, everyone kind of has a different idea of like where you want to go and what you're gonna do, which would be easily alleviated if there was like a really good pinging system or like, you know, just a voice chat, like a push to talk voice chat or a quick chat, like just a quick chat like Rocket League or something, like, you know, come here, like follow me, or like this item's here, or like being able to address specific players, like you Archer, this is good for you.
Is one of the biggest downfalls of randos, just not being able to coordinate your build.
Not being able to coordinate the build, not being able to coordinate like the way the 3 of you are going to play for maximum efficiency is a really big deal. And this isn't even mentioning the fact that when you play with randoms, a lot of them are just bad sometimes. Like that's I feel like that's just standard for searching with randoms in any game. But when this is the whole game, like this isn't like an optional, but like this is the whole game is this. So if you don't have friends who own it, that's how you're experiencing the whole game. With randoms who are a dice roll on whether they're going to be helpful or not. You're rolling a dice every single time you play, and you just paid $35, £35. So
I hear you.
If you're paying £35 and you want to play solo, or you want to play with you don't have friends and you are thinking about playing with randoms, just don't spend the money. Just like buy like a really good roguelike, like Risk of Rain 2, the best roguelike of all time, which I think is like £15. You can buy it for like £10 on key websites.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, like there's a lot of positive stuff about this game, but most of it is when you're playing with your friends. Like the vast majority of it. Like I just said, playing solo is tedious and broken and feels unfinished, and playing with randoms feels like you're rolling a dice every time you play. Like your level of fun and your level of satisfaction is not up to you because you're only 1/3 of the team, and the other 2 can just do whatever the fuck they want, and you can't control them, and you can't speak to them either, so you can't try and amend that issue. It's just completely random. It's completely random.
What a huge oversight. I mean, one of the best parts of multiplayer is like being able to, you know, to gel with other people as far as, you know, like what you're set out to do, your you know, your roles, your individual roles, or like you said, just planning, you know, There's just so many, and I feel like it enriches the experience to be able to communicate. I know there's some games where like they kind of relish the fact that you're just kind of multiplayer and no one really speaks to each other, and it's part of the vibe or whatever. And I know Dark Souls fan probably think a little of that, but like just for someone like me who's played multiplayer games so much, who just loves to, just interact with other people as we play games, it loses that,
It definitely does, yeah.
Yeah, you could literally be playing with, some AI and you wouldn't even notice, just because they're as random as the rando you played with, who just doesn't, who just goes and does whatever they want, right? Like, how do you even know they're human at that point? It's wild.
Yeah, I actually, the one time that I had, because I tried to play it with randoms a few times when my friends were like busy or at work or asleep, and there was one time where I got a guy who was playing as the Sekiro like katana character, which is really cool. We'll talk about characters in a bit. And he was very clearly making a deliberate effort to follow me, because he saw that I was kind of taking the lead a little bit, and he kept pinging items, and I went over and looked at them, because pinging items is the only thing you can do. So you have to really take advantage of this one thing. So you ping the items, I'd run over, it was like 10% arch, like a range damage. I was playing as the archer at the time, I usually do, because he's fucking broken. And that run, we swept the whole thing and killed the Night Lord. Like, just because that's how much of a difference it makes. That one guy was deliberately following me around, not wandering off like most of these fuckers. Was deliberately following me around. We were team killing all the bosses. We were pinging the map. Like, every time we'd finish the POI, we'd ping the map to the next place, and we'd run there and we'd do it and we'd clear it, and he was really good. That game, we wiped the whole thing and killed the Night Lord easy. We didn't even, I barely even drank any, like, I don't even think I drank a heal in the final boss fight. But for comparison, me being the same and me trying to do the same thing, other than that run, I don't think I ever got past like the second day before you go to the final boss with randoms a single time. Never.
Wow.
That's how much of a difference it makes, and that's what I mean when I say like you're rolling the dice, because it's really not up to you. Yeah. Because I played well in all those games as well, but it's just not up to you, because you can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the general factor of just skill. Like you'll get people of varying skill levels versus, your friends, which have played games and are, fairly competent in games and stuff, versus just a random whatever. I know that's a factor, but again, it all comes back to, like you said, communication. Just that ping you're able to do, so much with that. And I feel like I said, even something contextual would add so much more to the game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like it's an easy fix, because you can add one of those pings that have like a ping scroll wheel where you ping like an icon or something like that, and that would like.
I feel like if it's not fixed soon, it'll be modded in. Like, it's that important,
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the whole too hard. Well, I didn't really talk about solo that much, but you get the gist of it, right? It kind of makes sense. But like, if you imagine playing a game that's made for 3 people by yourself, you're ganked all the time. The bosses have fucking loads of health. He did do an update where they alleviated it a little bit, but I went on and it was still too hard for me personally. Like I said, I'm not like great at them, these games. And doing like the night 1 boss that you'd normally steamroll with friends or even randoms, it's just so hard by yourself, because they're normally more than one enemy. And solo. And you actually have to fully fight the boss by yourself, which is, that's how you do it in Elden Ring. That's normal. That makes sense. That works. That's fine. But in 3s, you're all just jumping and like smashing the boss's fucking head, and you're all flying around like maniacs, and you're like, the range character is doing range damage, and you're all just like using all your skills. Because
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have any sort of scaling for single player either.
There is, I think there is, but it's just not good enough. Like, it's. Right. If there is, it's very minimal, and they did an update recently where they made it where you get way more runes to try and alleviate the issue of not being able to get enough runes in time. They made an update where they did that, but I've played since then. And I was still struggling. I was still struggling past that update. But you know how I mentioned right at the beginning that like, if you're like a challenge runner, it's going to make a big difference. Because I say that because challenge runners have already like beaten fucking Nightreign no hit and no death and shit. So for them it's really not that hard. But like for the average player, like for me, it's really hard. And those challenge runners who have done that also said that it wasn't fun. At least one that I saw on Twitter. Like I can't remember his name.
Wasn't fun.
It might have been Gino Machino. I can't remember who it was. Somewhat like one of these Soul challenge runners who did that said, like, yeah, you can do it, and they did it, but it was not fun because it was very like, you know, it's just so tedious. You're by yourself. You're fighting like bosses with 3 people's worth of health. You know, you're doing like, you're playing kind of scummy. You're running around. You're dealing like chip damage. It's going on for like a really long time. So yeah, it's yeah.
It's funny if one person who's able to beat solo says it isn't fun.
Yeah.
Then how does he have fun playing with multiple players if he could literally just carry the, you know, like it must be easi mode on him even with randos. He's just doing everything. Is that even fun?
I wish those were my teammates. Like I said, the one time I got a random good teammate we cooked, like it's fucking like let me solo her on my team. But that was only the first point of negative. The first point of negative was me mentioning the fact that it's too hard solo, but with 3 good players, it's kind of too easy, at least from my experience anyway.
What's the second point?
Second point is that considering that this is a roguelike, like, you know, I don't know if FromSoft have ever said that themselves, but it's listed as a roguelike on Steam. And it very clearly is, like, you know, you go in the game, you run into the final boss, you reset if you die, and you get random items with random abilities. Okay, even if you don't want to say that's a roguelike, it's still just comparable. So comparisons.
There's also roguelite.
Roguelite, yeah. I don't remember the difference, so I'm not going to get into that.
I don't know if it's concrete, but it's basically like there's roguelike elements, but they're just kind of lighter, you know.
Okay, maybe it's more like that. So, maybe
I don't know the actual definition, but
but anyway, the reason
something like that.
The reason I put it down is because the roguelike elements of this game are so lacking, inexcusably lacking. The positives are like, you know, the Souls combat, which is great, and all the weapons from Elden Ring, which are cool as fuck, and the bosses from games that are cool as fuck. It's fun. It's cool. But the roguelike elements of this roguelike that they turned Elden Ring into are so shit. So
that's so unfortunate.
Yeah. So the very basic, the first most basic thing is, look, Risk of Rain 2 is going to come up a lot because whenever you talk about like a roguelike game, Risk of Rain 2, in my opinion, is the golden standard anyway. And if you just think, have you played much Risk of Rain 2? Or this might not make sense.
Oh,
yeah. Yep. So if you think about Risk of Rain 2 and think about like some of the items that you pick up and the things that they do, how many of them are like unnoticeable and boring? None of them. There's so many items in Risk of Rain 2 and they're all cool. Like, it doesn't break the game, but they all, like, obviously they're not all applicable. They're not all applicable to every build, but they all do something that's like immediately noticeable. All like even the ones that are like the gem where you do like the close range damage. It all like adds up really quickly, and you start to feel really good, like really powerful quickly. Right. This isn't a factor in Nightreign at all. So you pick up the weapons which have, you know, the damage stat, and it's the gray, blue, purple, gold system that we've seen time and time again in like RPG games. So obviously, you know, based on the color, like this one's better than this one, this one's better than that one. You'll do better damage. That's noticeable in terms of like different rarities. But all of the stats, all of the like the perks on weapons, abilities on weapons are so boring. Like they're like, you know, plus 10% range damage, or like plus 5% this, plus 10% this, like all of them. And the way the game works is
raw stat crap.
Yeah, raw stats, all of them, literally all of them. But the way the game works is you have 6 slots for weapons, but this also feels kind of half baked and unfinished. Like they had some maybe could have
slots for weapons.
Yeah, but the way it works is all the weapons have a perk on them, but you get all those perks even if they're not equipped. So to a certain point, you're not picking up the weapon for the weapon anymore. You're just looking around for like what has the best perk on it. Gotcha. Like I said, yeah, they're all just not cool. Like, and especially in a game like a universe like this, like think of all the cool shit you could have done. Like, imagine if you were like running around exploding with rot like every 5 seconds, or if, you know, every time you swung your sword, there was like a lightning explosion that would do like, you know, that would do like AoE damage to all enemies nearby, or like you'd have an explosion, or you could jump really high, or you could run really fast. I could think of so many possibilities.
Like you roll extra far, or you get like uses less stamina, or you have increased invincibility frames. Like,
some of them are like that. Yeah. But like the last couple of ones you mentioned still kind of feel like statty though, like statistically.
Yeah,
like,
they are kind of statty. Yeah, like that's what really makes a roguelike, if you ask me, is being able to, especially in multiple runs, like how varied the builds are, like the different routes they can have, the impacts that individual items can have on your gear.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it so fun with the roguelike. I think one of the best indicators that it's a really good system is when you have a choice of upgrades and you just can't choose between the two. Like they're both so good. You know? Like that means it's good because the system's, it's got a lot of balanced options versus like every time you have to choose plus attack every time. It's just the best.
That's what Nightreign feels like.
Those are terrible. It doesn't even feel roguelike at that point, right?
No.
Like, yeah.
So in terms of roguelike features that aren't part of the whole, this is clearly Elden Ring. All the roguelike stuff is so lacking. Like it really is the bare minimum. And if that was like a new roguelike, not connected to like a known universe, people would give that hell. Like that's so bad. That's not acceptable for a roguelike, just having such bad roguelike features.
Yeah, it gets a pass because it's Dark Souls 100%.
And continuing on kind of with that, well, I want to talk about the perks and the character. I'll do the characters because the characters kind of also ties into like comparing to other. Well, I'm just going to compare it to Risk of Rain 2 again because that's easy mode. But like, think again, like just like how I asked you to think about the abilities in Risk of Rain, the items. Think about the characters in Risk of Rain. Are any of them even remotely similar to each other at all? Not other than the ones that like shoot. Individual. Other than the ones that like shoot that's similar. Yeah, like that's so different.
Yeah.
This is slightly excusable because it is like a Dark Souls game, so everyone wants that same Dark Souls combat. So you can't change too much. Yeah. Like you couldn't just have someone have like one weapon or a gun or some shit or like a fucking something crazy. But still, I think this is a massive waste of potential because just everything from like the design, character designs are cool, but they're really like when you switch characters, you really don't feel like much changed. The abilities on them are noticeable, but they're not like epic. They're just not. None of the character abilities are epic. Like one of them is like a big explosion gun thing that does kind of high damage, but to be honest, not really. On like bosses, it doesn't really trip off that much. One of them has a thing where all your teammates regain mana and health every time they hit an enemy, which is cool. These are ultimate abilities. These are like you've waited a long time for this to charge up. This is an ultimate ability. One of them is a really big arrow shot that is good against like some mobs, but again doesn't do that much damage to bosses. It just kind of adds up. This is the theme of this game. It's all about adding like not cool immediately noticeable stuff, just like just small things that kind of add up.
These abilities feel like they'd be like regular cooldowns in most roguelikes.
Yeah, definitely. And one of them is he just kind of like goes and stabs the ground, and then he goes up on like a tombstone, which doesn't really add anything. You do extra damage for like a short time after. It's a buff, but you just kind of raise in the air on a tombstone. Like, I guess you can do a jump off it, but you can also just jump attack anyway. That's not increased damage to just a regular jump attack. So that just seems really random. Like what is the benefit of that? But yeah. So abilities, like actual character abilities, pretty lame. There's one for the starting character who's called Wilder, where you can grapple onto enemies and like go toward them, and that's useful for movement. But I don't even think they intended it to be used that way. But that's probably the most interesting thing because it's a movement change. Speaking of movement, let's talk about movement. So let's go back to Risk of Rain 2 again. One of the things I love about Risk of Rain is when you're playing as each individual character, the way you move around the map is always different to the point where you feel like you're engaging with the character and his movement systems, so you feel like you're playing the game still all the time. Like the railgun character in Risk of Rain 2, who has like that grenade where you like jump, where you grenade jump around for movement, and the mech suit guy with the grapple hook where you can sling around the fucking map. You know, each character is moving, is like doing different things all the time. It's not just their weapon that's different. It's the whole
they have
character.
Different movesets. They have different strategies. Different
it's the whole character. But in Elden Ring Nightreign, every time you like finish your POI and you want to move, everyone just holds sprint, and you have to do some like really janky climbing sometimes to get up like some kind of tombstones to navigate around. Yeah. And it's just boring. Like moving from one place to another is boring. You're not engaging with the game. You run past all the mobs. Everyone has the same speed and the same movement set, which is funny because one of the characters has huge wings bigger than its own body.
Yeah.
One of the characters has fucking huge wings and he just runs around like an idiot. Like, come on. This is, do you see what I mean about how this feels like a very clear waste of potential? Because
yeah. And it's very glaringly obvious too.
Yeah. And like, so it's not even hard to think of. Like, because we said the guy with the wings, I'm not saying he necessarily needs to be able to fly, but he could do like a little jump in the air and then float, like a dash.
Some more individuality to the heroes. Yeah.
And the mage character could do a blink, and you know, etc. Like just movement is. It's just the same for everyone. No one feels.
What was with the perks you wanted to?
Oh, the perks? Yeah, so the perks are called relics, and you unlock them after every game. And the game also has quests that you do by doing stuff in the map for certain characters in a little journal. And you get some like character-specific perks, relics for doing that as well. And you get good ones for beating the main Night Lord bosses, all of them. They all drop quite a decent one.
Okay.
But again, my problem with them is very similar to my problem with the abilities. Most of it is very non-noticeable minor stat increases that just like honestly I don't believe anyone notices, because I played a lot of Nightreign and a lot of those perks just weren't. I couldn't tell when I was playing the game that I did anything.
They're the least exciting of of stuff, like things that give you an extra ability or that enhance your abilities or give you a special status effect or something, like stuff like that you can build off each other and you can combine and you can you can cook up new builds and stuff and gameplay styles. When you're just throwing stats at it, nothing really changes but the numbers, you know?
Yeah, in fairness,
like an MMO at that point.
Yeah, in fairness, there is a few of those in the relics, and some of them that I've had, they've have been a really cool idea, but they're so they're so weak that it didn't really make a difference. One of them was, I liked playing the bird guy for a while, who starts with a great shield, and one of the perks I got for him was that every time you successfully blocked, which you do all the time with a shield, you just get given free health every time. Which I was like, wait, that sounds really good. Like, that's a good one. That's really cool. I put it on though, and it was so weak that like it would take you forever to get like any significant amount of health back. So that's like there is perks like that. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. That's good, because there's also things like getting successive hits will give you mana back for like the mage characters, and getting hits with spears on that shield character who can shield poke with spears. Getting hits with spears will give you will improve your guard, or will give you mana back, or will give you health back. There's those, but like I said, even when those ideas are there, they're usually so bad that they're not that good. They're not like worth using, because you may as well just have a stat increase instead. And also the way the perks work is they're like these little balls that you put in a goblet slot, and like the way it works is there's a tiny one which only has 1 bonus, and then there's a medium-sized one which has 2 bonuses, and then there's a big one which has 3 bonuses, and they're all randomly rolled. So you can roll a big one with 3 bonuses that will have that can have great bonuses. Like there's no limit. Like if you have a big one, that doesn't mean you can only have like 3 not very good bonuses. You can have a big one with 3 great bonuses on it. Like it happens quite often actually. And the problem with that is it just completely invalidates the smaller ones. What's the point of keeping the smaller ones? It's so strange. It's such a strange implementation of perks, because you just end up with loads and loads of these little tiny balls that only have one ability on them. But that one ability you already have in other bigger ones that have like 3 abilities in the same slot. So why would you ever use these? Like literally, why would you ever use these? They're so bad. And it's
bad
again,
itemization.
That just feels unfinished. It feels unfinished, or like not thought through properly. Yeah. So yeah, that was the perks. There's one more thing in the bad section that I wrote, and it's just that this is probably, I think I meant to talk about this earlier, maybe I should have, but this for me was one of the bigger ones, because some of the other things we just mentioned I can forgive to a degree, but this was one of the bigger ones, and it's similar to how, you know, the items were kind of like the weapons, the items and stuff were kind of lame, because it was a wasted opportunity. This is also a massive wasted opportunity, especially considering the game that this is based off, and that is the fact that the replayability, or like the novelty of like playing it and it being like new and exciting, wears off so quick. And the main reason I
can imagine if it, especially because it uses assets from Elden Ring, it just feels like an Elden Ring mod, right?
Yeah, it wears off so quick.
Like there's some new bosses, but yeah, I mean, if it just has the same gameplay, a lot of the same enemies, a lot of the same movement and stats and stuff, like it doesn't sound like it's adding too much new that would keep you.
Well,
you know,
it's not even just that, because even if you forget about the fact that it's reused assets for a second, in the like on a run to run basis, there's so few things that change that after you've played the game for like a couple of good sessions, you've basically seen everything in the whole game, which I think is like unforgivable for a game like this. So, for example, this is how the whole game kind of works. Every time you launch into a level, it has like 3 seeds. If you know what I mean by seed, like a Minecraft seed. Yeah. But only 3. And let's talk about this, because there's a big castle in the middle of the map that has loads of enemies that usually drop loads of runes. So it's a place that people try and hit every run. And there's 3 seeds that change the enemies that spawn in there, right? And it can only be those 3. And so one of them is Crucible Knights, one of them is Banished Knights, and one of them is these trolls that like throw pots with some other enemies, like backing them up. And that's it. Other than those 3, nothing else can spawn in there. So once you've seen all 3 of those seeds of the castle, you've seen every possible version of the castle. For a franchise like this, where they've pulled bosses from old games in this, and there's so many. Elden Ring is famous for its insane enemy variety. I think it's like offensive to have so little variation of how things appear in terms of the random generation. The random generation is so limited and it's so small. It's baffling to me. You could do anything. You could randomly, you could change the whole theme of the castle. You could change the whole theme of any of the POIs and add like
how different are the enemy layouts each run?
What do you mean by enemy layouts?
Like what the enemy placement?
Oh, it's the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that could have been the easiest thing to randomize, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, this goes back to the roguelike aspect feeling lacking, because that's just the fact that there's no. Even the enemies themselves, you could give them like a twist, like, maybe they do like, oh, this one's poison. Oh wait, he's doing poison damage. Wow, this run he randomly generated poison damage, or this run he randomly like set me on fire. There's none of that. There's none of that here.
That's even not that complicated. I mean, I'm not a developer, but like just giving them like a trait or a status effect or something. Like I feel like that's such a big charm of roguelikes.
Yeah.
Is whenever you play, it's a fresh experience. Things aren't in the same spot. Enemies aren't in the same spot. The enemy you fought last time, he's going to have a different ability, or your abilities are going to be different. Like there's just so much variety, and like triple underline variety for roguelites. That's what makes it so, you're not just playing, like Doom from beginning to end and all the weapons are in the same spot.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the charm of the whole experience is that it's so different. Like that's why I like multiplayer games, because whenever you get a multiplayer match, it's always different from the match. Even if you have the same characters for every person. It's always going to be different, and that variety gives it that spice, that excitement, that unknown. And you have to think more about it versus just running around the same paths, around the same enemies who have the same abilities in the same places, using the same weapons, and I'm actually shocked that it's not more varied.
Yeah, so do you see what I mean when I say that this hits replayability big time?
Yeah,
this hits
really
replayability
hard.
big time because, like I said a minute ago, after a couple of sessions of this game, if you played most of the levels, you've basically seen everything that can possibly happen in this game. You will have.
The more I hear about this game, the more it feels like it should have been like a DLC. Than a standalone.
Yeah.
Especially with, what was it, like $40?
It's 35. I don't know how that 35 translates or whatever, but
yeah, like 35. Hearing that about that, there's a lot of full games you can get, for 35, and it doesn't seem worth it. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it compares to other games that are around that price point. Really, I would love to have a reason to go back and play it, but I don't. Like me and my friends finished it last weekend or whatever, and not a single one of us have touched the game since we finished it. None of us.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
And that wasn't like a pre-planned thing. We weren't like, oh, we're finished now, I guess we're done. That was we just didn't go back. We just didn't play it again.
Well, what's left? I mean, I remember playing so many roguelites with my friends, and like when you beat it, then you go, okay, now we're ready for the next difficulty level, right?
Yeah.
Or the next affix or whatever. But there isn't. You can't really increase the difficulty on that. Is there difficulty levels?
No,
I didn't think there were. No. It's just set.
Same,
so like when you and your friends, when you steamrolled a couple of runs first try, like if that's your first run, then everything after that's just going to get increasingly easier. Right?
Yeah.
Like I just don't see. I wouldn't want to be playing that more after that either. So yeah. I agree with you. That doesn't seem like something I'd want to keep on playing.
Yeah, that's all I got that's basically the end of my notes for Nightreign. But I feel like because we got so negative right now, I need to kind of calm it down a little bit and just revisit what I said at the beginning, and that is that despite everything that I just said, the core Elden Ring gameplay and the bosses and the new bosses and the returning bosses from fucking Dark Souls and shit was so cool that for that first playthrough where the novelty might have been gone and the replayability might have been gone, but for that experience, it was really fucking fun. This game was really fun, and if you have two friends that like Souls-like games, this is probably a must-buy. Like, genuinely, if you have two friends that like Souls-like games and are prepared to play it with you, there's no reason not to play this. It's just a guaranteed, 10-20 hours of really good time.
Yeah.
Replayable?
It's just more Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, it's more Elden Ring with friends. Replayable? No. Great roguelike? No. But it's still an Elden Ring roguelike. It's still an Elden Ring roguelike with cool new bosses. So that's why I gave it a 7 out of 10 with 3 players. 7 out of 10 with 3 players.
That makes sense.
Okay, done.
All right.
End of night. That's the end of Nightreign on the show.
I was playing the Wildgate beta. I don't know if you've heard anything about that game.
I mean, I see it behind you. Is that it behind you?
Yeah, the spaceships.
I think I looked it up on Google Images when you mentioned it. It looked kind of like, I don't. What is it like an Overwatch style game? I don't know what it is because I just saw that it had a gun in it.
Closest I could call it was like there's this one game called like Lovers from Another Dimension or something.
Nah, I haven't heard of that.
And okay, if you don't know that, I'll just start that. It's a first-person game with squads, and you have your own spaceship, and you just run around the ship to go to the different, like you go to the front to pilot it. You can man each of the cannons, the turrets. There's
with friends
generator. What's that?
With friends, like multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I love games
multiplayer
like this.
Only. Multiplayer only. And so you got you got probe stations that you can go and you can send out probes and look around, and it's kind of like like Sea of Thieves is probably Sea of Thieves in space is the best
I was about to
analogy
say
I could give
that's
for
giving
it.
Sea of Thieves a little bit, yeah.
But there's definitely some differences. Like the main mission is you got to find this artifact and you got to bring it to the Wildgate, and it doesn't matter who gets it, So you're fighting over this thing like it's a football or whatever.
Okay.
and so what you're doing is you're at the beginning. You're just flying to these different points of interest where there's like NPCs, and you're killing the NPCs or you're solving little quests, and then you're getting gear, which is like upgraded turrets, upgraded hard points. And hard points are spots on your ship where you can put upgrade items that'll do stuff like give you extra shields or give you protection from like weather events and space.
Can I interject?
What's that?
Can I interject? This is what Sea of Thieves did wrong. Sea of Thieves has none of this. Like in terms of big noticeable progression, Sea of Thieves just doesn't have it. I think in Sea of Thieves, you go and buy like skins for your guns. That's it.
well, Sea of Thieves also had like a persistence to it. This is like at the beginning of every round, everyone's just starting stock. Your ship is completely stock default.
Okay, so it's not like a permanent thing.
Right. It resets every round. So at the beginning of every round, there's kind of battle royale aspects to it, and that at the beginning, and then there's also like an extraction kind of shooter thing to it, where like only the team who gets the item to the gate wins. So at the beginning of each round, you're looting to upgrade your ship and stuff, and you get ice, which can help you cool your reactor, which is the way you heal your vehicle from damage. It's like a cooldown you can use. And then you can get boosts for your ship, which temporarily increases speed. You get those from mining, stuff. So there's all this resource gathering and item upgrading you're doing. And at the same time, everyone else is doing it too. And at any point, you can just attack another ship, no problem, which happens a lot, obviously. It's part of the gameplay. And what's really cool about ship-to-ship battles is at any point, you can just get out of your ship, fly to the enemy ship, break in, start gunning them down. You can like get into the captain's chair, try to ram their ship into a asteroid or something. You can turn their shields off. You can shut down their generator. You can steal their upgraded parts and bring them to your ship. There's just so much chaos that can happen. And when in combat, it's a great game, man.
I'm gonna make the obvious comparison to like original Battlefront 2. If you played the space battles in that's what you'd do. You'd fly from ship to ship and you'd jump inside and you'd spawn trap everyone.
It's like that with extra goodies. Man. And they have different heroes with different abilities and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And you can unlock a bunch of different weapons and gadgets and whatnot. And a lot of the stuff that you have, like your character, like the guns and the equipment, that just gets unlocked, through progression. Okay. You don't really find, weapons for yourself. Whereas everything for your ship, all of that is found, or stolen from other ships.
Yeah.
And there's an incentive to attack other ships, because when you blow up another ship, their reactor, it becomes an add-on for your ship that gives you extra life. So the more enemies you kill, the more extra life you have. And at the same time, you have to be focused on the artifact, because whoever goes for the artifact is more likely to get it. And yet, whenever you get the artifact, everyone in the server knows you have it. There's a big icon on you that tells directly where you are. And even though the artifact actually gives your ship a buff, like it gives you extra life and health regen, it's pretty much a big beacon that says, come beat my ass. and you just got to get out of there to the gate. And people are fighting over it. They're boarding your ship, trying to take the artifact from you, and it's really chaotic at the end. And I love the gameplay. It's really unique. It's really fun. There's a lot of replayability to it. There's a lot of immersion, when you're playing as the pilot and you're piloting this huge space, the battles really feel intense and awesome. Like they did a really good job with that.
This sounds really good. Like I hadn't heard of that game until you mentioned before recording.
I'm surprised, man. They need to get the word out. This game is awesome. Yeah, I was playing with my friends for a while, and it is very well done. I'll be excited when this gets out. I
So-
feel like there's a bunch of fixes they need, but
Oh yeah, yeah. So did you say?
Yeah.
Did you say you played the beta?
yeah, the beta's out and it ends today.
Oh,
Uh,
crying.
So you can still try it.
Yeah. So do you
But
know?
it's
You mentioned like the looting aspect. Do you spend
Mhm.
do you spend a lot of time looting, or like on the counter? Do you spend a lot of time fighting, or is fighting rare?
I feel like versus most battle royales, you're generally fighting a little bit more than you're looting, only because there's just it feels like the space you're in is a bit smaller. It's much easier to run into other players.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you always start looting. You have to start looting. You have to get something. You need ammo. You need better than stock turrets. Like you just have no chance to win a fight if you haven't looted. So there's definitely you loot a little at the beginning, and then you just from then out, it's a lot of warfare and stuff. It's very rare have there been games where we've just been looting and haven't seen a soul.
Yeah.
Very often we'll see ships, and usually when you see a ship, you're like, let's get them, let's go. It's not going to be like, oh, let them off. I don't feel like fighting.
Nah, you just
it's
dive
on,
in. That's kind of like Sea of
Yeah.
Thieves as well.
Right. Yeah, when you see an enemy ship, you're just like, let's go. You're not like, oh, I want some more treasure.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
No, that
it
sounds
is pretty cool. And even when you're just looting and stuff, you're still fighting the NPCs, and you're like piloting the ship, and you're going out on probes, looking for places to loot, or looking for enemy, vehicles or something like that. There's
Yeah.
always something to do.
I really like. I love space games. Like Elite Dangerous and shit, and games like No Man's Sky, and that sounds kind of like something that has always been like a dream. Is a game like Sea of Thieves, but you can in space, because in Elite Dangerous you can kind of do it to a little degree, because you could buy like a big cruiser that you could land on with your friends, but there isn't really any like walking around inside the ship together. That's not really a thing. I think it's mostly just like menus. But yeah, the idea of like a Sea of Thieves like in space is fantastic. I really want to look
It's better than Sea of Thieves in space, definitely.
It's better than Sea of Thieves. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely better.
Yeah, I mean, Sea of Thieves lost me with the fact that there's fucking no reason to play it other than just having fun with the boys. Like, there really is like
it wears out fast. I think
wears out
there's
fast.
so many factors. One of it is it focused so much on just going to the islands and stuff and fighting the NPCs. There's so much of that versus fighting enemy ships, and part of that is because it's just so hard to see enemy ships. It's just such a big zone. You rarely see enemy ships.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's really hard to catch up with them.
Yeah, it is. But we try.
Even that aside, like so much of the gameplay is just like open water. You're just sailing to the next objective. You're just staring at the seas. Like what can you do? You can play the accordion or something or emote, but like you're just sitting there on the ship
emotes
while it's sailing, to whatever destination. At least in this game, you can be on the probe. You can be looking out for new locations. You can be scanning them, adding them. You could be looking for ships. You could be just jumping out of the ship and mining like the various rocks you see coming by, like the ice.
Yeah, and I mean, most importantly,
yeah,
you said you upgrade the ship and shit. That's like Sea of Thieves needs that desperately. Like just adding things with new features, like with new that add functionality. Add functionality to the ship that's really cool, especially if you can just kind of decide what you want to add.
And the fact that everyone starts at equal ground at the beginning is great, because Sea of Thieves, oh no, they have the biggest ship, and they have I don't know, I didn't play it that much. I don't know what the upgrades are or anything like that.
There's no upgrades.
Yeah, but like if they have like the biggest ship and you're still in like the starter ship, you're just kind of screwed. What can you do? Whereas in this game, everyone's equal footing. They're all scrambling for loot, and if you fight someone early in the game, odds are they're just just as unready for fight as you
which
are.
Is funny.
Whereas late in the game, you're more likely to be geared up like they are, and it's more likely to be like a prolonged battle. which is great when you're just chasing them along and you're pelting their shield and stuff. And the shield mechanic is really great. Your ship is covered with a shield that's kind of like in hexagon tiles.
Yeah.
And
I can kind of see it in that image behind you.
Yeah, and once you hit a tile enough, then it's open and you can shoot through that and you can hit the ship.
That's really
and
cool.
Like the different parts of the ship have different effects. If you hit the engine, then the engines break and it's slower. If you hit the turrets, now the turrets can't fight back. And when you're inside the ship and they break, you whip out your tool, you heal it. You just click on it with the beam and you heal it over. That's how you heal most of the parts of the ship.
I need to get
and there can be fires on the ship and you have to like put them out,
Yeah.
And so battles become far more intricate than just pointing at the enemy ship and firing. You have to like hit the shield at the same spots to like break into it, and then you have to aim for like certain parts of the ship, like hard points, like the parts I said where you put mods in. If you hit those, then they deactivate the mods. So a lot of stuff like that. And because as you're flying in shape, there's momentum. As you're shooting, the shots, they preserve the momentum, So
right, so you have to lead shots and shit.
So yeah, if the enemy is flying up and your ship is turning up to reach them, your shots are gonna, fly downward. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to take this into effect. So it's not as easy as just putting your cursor over them and firing. You have to think of the projectile stuff and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of skill to it, which just adds to the fun, Like, and it makes it that much more satisfying when you can land some hits. It's just, I'm just gonna hammer that. It's just really solid, fun gameplay, and it's best when it's just chaotic and there's fires all over the ship, and you're entering their ship, they're entering your ship. The ships are facing each other, just shooting back and forth. It's just wild.
Yeah.
That's the most fun I've had, with one of those types of games, since I can remember, honestly.
Yeah,
so I'll be anxiously waiting for that release.
Can you do ridiculous stuff like, because you were saying how you kind of choose what you want to build while you're preparing, like choose a kind of add-ons you want to put on the hard points. Can you just go? Will people just go crazy and like only buy weapons and not upgrade anything else and just be like a glass cannon? And or like the opposite, like only buy shielding and just like try and ignore everyone. Like, can you?
Well, the thing about gear is there's the RNG aspect to it.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you get loot, it's just whatever's there is there, and you can kind of be like, oh, I'll rather take the shield than the extra probe distance or whatever. So you just kind of work with what you got, but at the same time you can kind of prioritize shields over stuff that gives you ammo or something, or you can do short range guns, like you have like these shotgun like turrets, and then you can put like this hard point in front of your ship that's just like a beam that's constantly in front of your ship. So you just get double shotguns, you got the beam going, you just like get right in front of their face and just melt them. Or inversely, you can just have long range stuff just really focused on shields and speed, just like stay far away, stuff like that. You really can't change up tactics. There isn't really like, some super broken stuff that like, some roguelites kind of do, which is kind of good. But at the same time, you do have some variety in what you can do as far as changing up the mods or the turrets.
Yeah.
And there are different ships you can use as well.
Oh,
with, like,
really?
Different turret layouts. Like the basic one has like 3 in the front and 2 in the back. And there's ones that have like 4 in the front and 1 in the back.
You like buy more aggressive ones.
Yeah, and then there's this one ship that only has 3 turrets total, but it's small and it's really fast. So probably for like teams that really love boarding other ships, just get in and hit them hard and get out. So there's a lot of different strategies you can use with it. Definitely looking forward to having some fun with it.
What's the game called again? It's just blank from my mind.
Wildgate.
Wildgate. Wildgate's definitely on my fucking wish list.
Yeah, check that out. Highly recommended. Even if you're not sure about it, just watch a video about the gameplay. If that doesn't win you over, then maybe it's not for you. But I remember seeing the trailer. I don't know if it was a trailer or... Yeah, I guess it was a trailer, like a reveal or something. And I thought, wow, that game looks awesome, man. And then you just don't hear about it. And then suddenly I heard about this beta like 3 or 4 days in, and I immediately downloaded it. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my experience with that game.
That's great. I'll definitely keep my eye on
I
that.
think the beta's still up for a day, so you might still be able to catch it.
Right. Okay. Like as in it'll end soon. Like maybe this time tomorrow, or a few hours ago tomorrow, maybe.
Right. So if you're watching this video now, I'm sorry.
It's gone. No, it's definitely
they may do it again, and it's going to release soon. I think it's going to release in July, maybe. It was releasing pretty soon, so yeah, keep an eye out for it. Regardless.
Yeah. Cool. Have you seen anything about this Mindseye game?
No.
Okay. Cool. That means I get to tell you. So Mindseye is that game. Did you see it at like at presentations and stuff? It was if you looked it up, you'd probably recognize it if you saw it. It's the game that's made by an ex-producer of GTA from Rockstar, and they were really pushing that. They were really pushing that with marketing. They were like, "Look, this game looks like GTA, but it's not. It's new. It was like it's like a futuristic kind of GTA clone vibe, but it looks like."
Oh, okay. I've heard. I didn't hear much about this game, but I have heard of some people memeing about how buggy it's been.
Yeah, no,
that's the extent of.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about it, because it came out.
Oh, okay.
It came out kind of bad. So it's made by I just looked up the person's name, Leslie Benzies, who is the person who is like ex Rockstar, and they pushed it. They pushed that really hard. They were like, this is an ex Rockstar person, so it's going to be like GTA. Look, our game looks like GTA. It's made by an old GTA person. So this person made the good stuff. Like this person made like the good GTA stuff, and now they're making a new game. Yeah, and the game looks fucking bad. Like it looks really bad. It was one of those kind of rug pull vibes, because the situation we're used to at this point, where the demos look really crisp, and the demos have like ridiculous lighting effects and just crazy graphics. Like they look ray traced and shit, and then the game comes out and it's just so bland. Same thing. It released and it's so flat. Like there's no good lighting. There's some kind of good like car models, and the game does look nice sometimes when you catch it at the right angle, but it looks nothing like what it was advertised to. It looks very it looks like a very boiled down version of what they presented. But it's also just not really like GTA that much, which I think is kind of funny, considering how much it's obviously drawing from that vibe. So the way it works is you play like a 15-hour long linear campaign, and you only unlock free roam mode. So this game that's supposed to be a GTA like isn't even legit open world. You play the linear campaign, and then like 6 hours in, you unlock free roam mode, which is like, do you remember in old games you would unlock a bonus free roam mode, and it would just be like they turned off the map boundaries and there was no content really. You just like walk around. Yeah. It's that they added that. So you have free roam mode where you can walk around and like kill people. I don't even think there's any police or anything. You just kind of walk around, like drive cars and like shoot people and stuff. And that's like the open world. It's not an open world game. They just have like a free roam. You switch to free roam mode, and then you go back to the campaign, and there's like no side quests or anything like that at all. Yeah, really strange. That seems like that seems very unfinished, and that's something that games did like donkeys years ago, because no one cared about having like an open world. Right. Also, another weird thing about the game, it's kind of tied to this Fortnite style user created content game or app called Everywhere. And they push that really hard in that game, because you can connect to Everywhere in the game, and you can also do some of the user creation stuff in Mindseye. So this kind of set off some alarm bells in my head, because if are you familiar with like other game rug pulls in the past where they all of a sudden start trying to ram this new thing that they've made down your throat inside the game? This happened with the day before. The day before, like, did their whole scam thing, and then they released, and then like they started including in the trailers and shit like information about this new app that they'd made. It was like a workplace work motivation app or something like that, and they kept only talking about that with the day before. And yeah, and then a journalist asked about the day before, and they said we'll only answer questions about the day before if you ask us questions about this new workplace app we made. And that gives this vibe, because rug pull scams do this all the time. They get the game, they get people like with eyes on, and then they show you this like enterprise app thing that they've made instead. So that was really weird.
Yeah.
It definitely gave that vibe. But
sounds like they're trying to do like the GTA 5, like, oh, you can do your own mods and everything and stuff, like but with an app, that is odd.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. It wasn't received very well. The graphics look weird. The gameplay looks unfinished, like it's still in alpha.
I've only heard negative things about it.
Yeah, that was that.
Something that isn't negative is Switch 2 sales. Those have skyrocketed, man.
Like, do you know like how much they skyrocketed?
I just know that it's the highest selling console of all time.
What? No. It's the highest selling console of all time.
Well, it's the fastest selling.
Selling console.
Not the highest. The fastest.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say that would be like
it's the fastest selling console of all time. So the rate that they're buying them is just unheard of.
I was going to say that would be insane.
Because there was so much talk about, let's boycott Switch 2 because it's so expensive, or because they can break us at any point, or all these other big, reasons people have for. Yeah. But apparently, none of that matters because Nintendo's just rolling in that money. So, I think this speaks a lot about how important mobile gaming has become, because we all know about how like just games on cell phones and stuff, like literal mobile gaming has just exploded to a point where it's comparable, maybe even bigger than just traditional gaming.
It's definitely bigger. From what I've seen, it's definitely bigger. There's like millions of players in like China and India and shit that are playing like PUBG or Free Fire Mobile, like just millions of concurrent. The numbers on mobile games in like the Eastern world is insane. They fucking love their mobile games. Like they love them. It's really interesting.
It's just big. So, and like Nintendo figured it out with, their Game Boy series, which they've dominated forever. And then with the Switch 1, because they literally made their console portable, right?
Yeah.
So they'd be stupid to not do that again. So they literally just did it again, just upgraded the hardware, added a few bells and whistles. But that's all people want. They just want a system that they can take on the go, and that's what Xbox or Microsoft is even doing with Xbox now. Is going to have their own portable console.
Yeah, they collaborated with Asus, right? Was it Asus? That's Asus, weird, isn't it? Asus, yeah. Am I? I mean, is that not unusual?
I mean, it's. I mean, it's definitely unusual that they're pairing with another company for the hardware.
Yeah.
I mean, because like Nintendo uses Nvidia for the graphics and stuff like that and all that. But I mean, just for the entire console to be made by another company, that is kind of rare. There's been some exceptions, but it's generally something you don't see a lot. But I guess it makes sense when you think about it, because they'd have to make their own, thing, and Asus probably already had something cooking, and just having another company to have to handle all the logistics for manufacturing, I'm sure it's just a huge load off.
Don't worry, Xbox fucking love outsourcing. It's their favorite. It's their favorite thing. All of their companies outsource.
I bet, yeah. And I mean, it's smart too, because now, you could technically have, what's stopping Xbox from letting Lenovo make their own system or something, or getting a deal with them. And in the same vein, Steam boxes,
but
I think Steam knew what they were doing.
The Steam box, can you elaborate? Like, I think I kind of know, but can you just explain anyway?
So what? All right. So going back, Steam had this idea of having like a console that was basically like just a computer that ran Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And you just play Steam games on it like a console, and that didn't really take off or anything like that. But Now they have the deck, which is kind of like a portable version of the Steam box, right?
Yep.
So they have this powered by Steam. I forget what their UI is, but essentially now they can allow other manufacturers to make devices that are compatible with their operating system.
Right. Yeah, we talked about
Was
this
it Steam
before.
OS? Yeah,
I think it's just called Steam OS.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is huge for as far as like just companies that are able to extend their libraries out to mobile, and it's definitely going to be a very competitive field,
Absolutely.
as you can tell.
Yeah.
But Steam definitely knows what they're doing with making their OS like that, because now I can see a bunch of other systems using it, and we may actually see the return of a Steam box. Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows? I remember the whispers of Steam consoles. Those are always rumored.
Yeah, and that was really early, and now that they actually have like an actual operating system,
Yeah.
and even though it runs on Linux, which doesn't have the compatibility that Windows does with games, they've worked so hard with making games compatible with Linux that it's actually viable, that they were able to make the deck. So definitely a lot of interesting stuff happening in the mobile gaming space.
Why do you think? Sorry, what were you saying?
Even if I'm not particularly interested myself in it.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Do you even have any?
I got a Switch.
Yes, I've got a Switch, of course.
It stays in the dock.
Oh, really?
Most of the time.
Okay. My sister currently uses my Switch.
Yeah, it was like for a few exclusive games I wanted to play.
Yeah, same.
I haven't touched it in a while, and I have no interest in Switch 2, so it ends about there. And honestly, I think I've played like a total of like 3 or 5 games on my phone in the last like decade.
Oh, same.
And by play, I mean like maybe like 10 minutes, and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. I just don't have no go-to game on my cell phone. I'd just rather be reading an article than playing some garbage ass, super easy, simplified shit that they have,
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I played, again, barely any mobile games, but when I say mobile games, I mean like one of the ones that I'll open sometimes just for a little bit of like dopamine is it's called Planet Smash, and you literally just blow up the earth. It's a little bit psychopathic. Nice. You get given like you can like choose between meteors or aliens or like giant squids that fly through the earth, or ships that like a squadron that flies over and they all like shoot lasers at the earth until it blows up, or like a mining worm that wriggles through the earth and destroys it. Yeah, so that's my mobile gaming experience. Speaking of the Switch and how you said yours is packed away, I lent my Switch to Sam and forgot that he had it for like 8 months or maybe longer, and then and then one day I went to his to like pick something else up, and he was like, oh, by the way, here's a Switch, and I was like, oh shit, thank you. And then as soon as I got back to my house, I just gave it to my sister again. I just gave it to my sister because she was like at uni at the time, and they all went and played Mario Kart on it and had a great time. So this Switch isn't even mine anymore. It's been loaned away multiple times.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how interested I am in mine.
If it wasn't for like a few rounds of Smash Brothers I played and like last couple of months or something, I'd have probably not touched it in like more than a year or two easily. It's just it's just a whole different, and on one hand I think it's because I'm not like the main demographic, because Nintendo now is just so heavily invested in the casual gaming crowd, and just and unlike the mobile gaming crowd, stuff like that. Just the kind of games that I want are all on PC, and everything that's interesting that comes out on console, I'll just wait for it to come on PC, or I just I just won't play it. But even the newer Switch 2 games, a new Mario Kart, a new
what else is there?
That's exclusive.
Yeah. Nothing.
Like,
it's just Mario
Kart and the Donkey Kong game.
Donkey Kong, yeah.
I can't think, because there's so many games that are just weird, that have been existing, but now they're finally getting put on Switch now that it has the power to run them, like Cyberpunk and stuff like that.
Cyberpunk runs impressively well on the Switch 2. It definitely runs better than the Steam Deck. Switch 2, I think, does outperform a Steam Deck a little bit.
They made it. Yeah, I could see that because Steam Deck has been out a while.
It's been out a while, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, next time Steam Deck gets an upgrade, I bet it's going to be huge.
Yeah, like, do you think they'll do a Steam Deck 2 as like a response, or a Steam Deck?
I don't think they'll do it as a response specifically, but
they've probably been doing it for a while anyway.
Yeah, like they've been working on it, and it's already in the works. I remember somebody asked Gabe if he was going to upgrade the Steam Deck, and he said he'll only upgrade it when it's a meaningful upgrade.
Yeah,
you know. So they're waiting for the hardware to get in place.
So when it has a 5080,
a legitimate jump, they're not going to go like, you know, Steam Deck Pro, right? They're going to go a full next gen. So I think we may see one soon, but it's definitely going to be a pretty significant leap, which is pretty big because Steam Deck honestly has been surprising with how well it runs stuff.
Oh, Steam Deck's great. So, like, especially for like, I do use that. I like every week or so I'll sit down for a little bit and use that just because like, we talked about it a while ago on the show, but like going back and playing like those cool old PC games that you don't really care to play on your desktop, but you're just like, I don't know, you'd like sitting somewhere or you're comfy somewhere and you're like, you know what, I'll play a level of Left 4 Dead 2 or like some shit. It's great. It's great for that. And it works so well, like, like the whole integration, the performance is so smooth. I have the OLED one as well, and it looks clean as fuck.
Yeah, and it was designed from the ground up to work with PC games. You know, like as far as compatibility, to have all the controls, to be able to reconfigure the controls. It's even got like a little touchpad on it, right?
It does have a little touchpad on it. It's nice. Oh my god!
Like it's so versatile. You know.
Yeah.
Versus something like the Switch, and it's like, ooh, we have a mouse now. It's really shitty, but it's a mouse, right? Like that's their whole new thing. And their sticks have drift still. No, but
they do have drift still. I saw that video. I think it's actually worse than the Switch, but yeah.
There's been new technology out. You know, people are talking about the Hall switches, the Hall effect or whatever you call them. But there's actually a new technology after that. I forget the name, but it actually uses like quantum teleportation technology or something weird like that.
What?
What? Some weird like quantum mechanic physics to like I'd have to read it off. But there's two newer technologies that they could have used. They didn't use either of them. They're just using the old shit. You know?
I perked up a little bit when you mentioned the touchpad because I just remembered something. It's like it's off camera, but like on my left I have a dartboard because I like to throw darts sometimes. And underneath it is kind of where like this is sketchy, I know. Underneath the dartboard is where I kind of just like dump stuff sometimes. So the Steam Deck and the Quest 3 are currently there. But I would never throw darts at the dartboard with them down there. I always move them or like put them in the place like where they actually live.
Okay, that's good.
But that's important to note because I have never done that because I wouldn't. I'm too paranoid. Like I'm so OCD about like stuff being clean and like stuff getting broken. I would never do that. It's just there because I'm lazy and I'll move it since I play darts. But one day I opened up the Steam Deck case and I was playing the Steam Deck and I rubbed the touchpad and I felt a little nick on the touchpad. And there was a perfectly circular dart hole in the touchpad. So someone's done it, and it wasn't me. I think it was my sister, and she's like too afraid to say. But it wasn't me because I know I'm.
Is it possible? Is it possible a dart just kind of fell off and maybe hit it by itself, and like you found a dart on the ground at some point and you didn't even think about it? Or?
Nah, there's no way. There's like
okay. All right, then it was your sister.
No, the fact, like the coincidence possibility is so unbelievable.
Okay.
It like
unfortunate
because there's no way someone would do it without noticing as well. Because you'd hit, you know, there was a hole in this. There was a hole in the Steam Deck, so it's you would notice. It's really not that like the end, like the tip of a dart is really thin. It's really not that big of it's not a big deal at all, but I recognized it as soon as I saw it. I was like, that's a dart hole. Like that can't be anything else. It's a round hole, and it's not like deep, but I can see it's gone in a little bit and it's very round. That's a dart hole. It's nothing else. And the plastic is kind of like chipped up around the side. Yeah. That was sad. But it's like the Switch 2, sorry. a potential Steam Deck 2 or Steam Deck follow-up coming out one day is frightening to my bank account, because the idea of a portable PC alternative is so good. That's why I spent so much money on this OLED Steam Deck, and having another one come out would make me depressed, because I'd be like, well, now I don't have the best one anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I want the best one.
I mean, if you're just using it for older games,
I know,
fine.
but
and it runs them at a lower resolution, and you know, it should still have some living power to it.
100%.
I think you need to focus on upgrading your computer as a priority there, buddy. You got a pretty old system.
I do. I'll definitely.
You got to get around to that someday. I'm gonna bug you.
Yeah, I do. That, so I'll definitely take that into consideration. Thank you. And back to the Switch 2 a little bit. I mean, this isn't that big of a deal. I feel like this was quite predictable. I'm speaking fast today, aren't I? You need to tell me to stop doing that. That's really bad. When I speak so fast that like you might.
Sorry, I can listen quickly. It's fine.
Yeah, but like you might be able to, but that probably sounds terrible. But anyway. Back to the Switch 2. This probably isn't a surprise, but I think Red Dead 2 has been like is rumored so hard that it's like kind of confirmed that Red Dead 2 is going to come out on a Switch 2. Which at first I was like, how is that running? But then I realized, wait, it's like not even a new game anymore. It's like 7 years old. It'll probably have no trouble running. It'll probably have no trouble running at all, which is so weird because it's such a good looking game, but it is old now. Like it's 8 years old. It came out in 2018, I believe. So
I mean, yeah, the new Switch 2 definitely should be able to run it pretty well.
Yeah, I think it will.
But you know, there's always the chance that it could not, because I remember like the Switch, you know, the OG Switch playing Breath of the Wild, it still had frame rate issues, right? And this was a game that was running on the Wii U.
Yeah.
So it could be possible. I've been hearing a lot about how games are running on the Switch 2, and some of them have been really impressive, and some of them are like you really gotta, you know, squeeze the frame rates out, and it doesn't hit a consistent. Even Switch 1 games are kind of inconsistent on how they run on Switch 2, because like obviously if they had like trouble with frame rate, you know, Switch 2 would improve that. But if they didn't have any frame rate, if they are constantly running on 60 FPS, there isn't much a Switch 2 will add to it, right?
Yeah,
because there's a few games that have like options you can toggle on, like performance mode or something like that, but even, you know, as far as console games, that's pretty rare that they do that stuff. And when they do that stuff, it's very few options. Yep. So there's not a lot you get out of upgrading to a Switch 2 as far as the older libraries. And you don't even get a 100% guaranteed, because they said not all titles will switch.
You also have to pay. Did you mention that already? But you also have to pay.
Oh yeah, and you'll have to pay a lot of. Not all the. Some of them are free.
Oh right. Okay.
But of course, some of them are paid.
The best ones are probably paid. That's probably deliberate.
Right, yeah. And then like there was one or two that like you literally had to buy the whole game over again on the Switch 2.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, there's at least one game where it wasn't compatible with the Switch 2. You had to buy the Switch 2 version, which is retarded stupid.
Breath of the Wild, me playing Breath of the Wild with that fucking frame rate is a huge testament to how good that game is, because God, that was troubling. Do you remember the place where you get the Master Sword in the forest with the Deku Tree?
Yeah, the forest. Yeah,
that was infamously like the game was just the frame rate was so low you were basically crashed. Like you were basically not playing.
It was terrible. There.
It was definitely less than 10. It was like around just
10, throughout the whole game. It was just struggling, you know, like.
And the Switch was like roaring. Like the fans would go off so loud playing that game. It was screaming for help. But like, I said, testament to the game that I still played. That like I have 300 hours in Breath of the Wild or something ridiculous.
Right, it's a good game, and it's so unfortunate that it doesn't run as well. But now it finally does. But
now it finally does.
I'll be damned if I'll get a Switch 2 just to.
Also, if you look in certain places, I don't know where. I'm just saying I have no idea where, but if you look in certain places, you can play it on PC at like 90 FPS.
Oh yeah, I was playing it emulated, and or I mean I was watching someone playing.
You're watching someone playing, okay?
And it was 4K, you know, amazing graphics, buttery smooth.
Yeah.
and it was like a completely different experience. And like with the cell shading, it works. You know, like you don't need increased textures, right?
No.
You just need it to run smoothly and look nice, and it was fantastic. I'm surprised they haven't released. Well, I won't say surprised, but I'll say they're really losing out on releasing some of their titles on PC, like Breath of the Wild. That maybe their sales have kind of dwindled over the years, and they can
boost
afford,
it. Yeah.
like do like they did like the Mario thing for Switch, where they had like a compendium, like they had a 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy all in one.
Yeah. I own that.
And then they stopped selling that.
Oh, they did.
Right?
They took it off.
It was a limited time thing. Yeah. So imagine if they did that for PC, right? Like that would be a killer. You know, that'd be like Master Chief Collection, right?
Like Breath of the Wild is so good that I just wish I think it's a must play for everyone, and it's sad that it's only on the Switch.
Yeah,
it would be great.
So I feel like there's games like that, and especially the Mario one that Nintendo literally isn't selling anymore. They could get, they could get more money by putting it. Obviously, it's not as simple as just, moving it to PC. And, for Nintendo especially, that's just obviously out of their, not something they're
not something they will do. That will not happen. Well,
yeah, but
like I said, if you look in places, you can do it anyway. But officially, that's never going to be a thing. I'm sure.
But Sony and Microsoft have warmed up to putting their stuff on PC, and they've had huge success with titles.
They have.
I mean, just name it, Stellar Blade, right? Like it was doing amazing numbers on the PlayStation, and now that they put it on PC, it is just
had a second wind.
Every other game, out of the water.
That game
and
this
isn't
a
fresh release. It's just on other systems, right?
Yep.
And it's insane, and it's just giving it access to more people.
It's an opportunity to basically re-release a game. That's all it is.
Yeah, and Xbox has been leaning into it far more with their their integration with Windows and whatnot, obviously.
Yeah.
But man, it's just great to see. I remember how excited I was to see Final Fantasy VII on PC. Like I was like, wow, they're doing PC ports of SquareSoft games. Like this is wild.
Square Enix. Is that the name? Square Enix.
What is
Square Enix? Is that their name? Yeah.
Oh, now it's Square Enix, but a long time ago, my friend, they were called SquareSoft.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'll always call them SquareSoft, but then at some point they merged or were bought by or something. Enix, another Square Enix or Squeenix, if you're one of the cool kids.
So it's like crossover.
But they'll always be SquareSoft for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think the rumors about Halo on PlayStation are true because like you said, Xbox are just doing this with every game now. Every single thing they announced at their conference had a PlayStation logo on it. So
yeah,
I think it's absolutely obvious that Halo will also do the same thing with a remake, probably. But a whole new audience of people is going to play it, like an entire new audience of people, and even people who are still on Xbox. That like everyone's talking about it again, everyone's doing it again, everyone's reliving the moments again. Like,
yeah, it's going to pull numbers, and it's going to bring people in who never got to experience it. Same thing when they had like going back to the Master Chief Collection. I didn't get to play all the Halo games. I didn't have a Xbox console throughout all those years that Halo games were coming out, so I missed a couple. But now I got to play them on PC. I got to play them multiplayer. Got to play them co-op with my buddies, like I love to do.
Yes.
And it's just gonna, so it's definitely cool. And like I said, I wish a lot more did that. Like a Gears of War for PC would go huge, right?
Yeah.
Like,
didn't that happen?
They got so many games in the series. They put the original Gears of War was ported to PC.
Is that why everyone was playing it this week?
I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't hear about that, but I just remember having so much fun just playing that. And so I definitely hope that they do that a lot more, seeing how successful it's become just from what they've done.
Yeah. I had one more topic to talk about before we
Sure.
before we close. There's about 30 minutes left. This is a random topic, and I like this because it's not specific to like games, which is what we normally talk about. We do go off topic sometimes, but this is a good one because this is a YouTube. This is like a YouTube topic, and I watch a lot of fucking YouTube. I know you probably do as well, but like my entire life is YouTube. My entire life has been YouTube since I was like 10. I'm a YouTube Premium owner. That's right. I said it. I said it live. I'm a YouTube Premium owner, and we're about to talk about the worst YouTube trends of all time. When I said this earlier, you were like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah," like I'm jotting down. So go ahead.
Well, the first one has to be reaction videos.
Just the whole reaction videos as a whole.
I mean, just the part of reaction videos that has to do with lazy content creators, because there's some good reaction videos, but I think generally it's just like people watching some other video and they're in the bottom left corner and they're just nodding along, or they're giggling, or they're pointing or something. Like, that's it. They're not adding anything to it. They're just riding the coattails of someone else's good video, you know, and all those views go to them instead of, oh sure, they'll name drop, you know, the creator in the comments or something.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even do that.
Some of them don't, yeah.
It's like even if they gave them some of the views, they get the majority of the new ones, right? So it's really scummy, and especially when you don't add to it. I've seen a good share of like reaction videos where like they'll literally analyze it, and they'll have like good points, you know, to call out with it. The best ones will like pause the video,
like Asmon
because
Gold.
They have so much to say. Yeah, like Asmon has some good reaction videos, like to video games and stuff. Like his politics stuff is really hot takes, and I try to ignore that. But like anything with video games, he's very knowledgeable, and it's interesting to hear his takes on it. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable on World of Warcraft. Yeah. So when he talks about that, he knows what he's talking about.
On topic of like,
but like actual analysis, adding content is very important, because and this is. I heard it was a problem on Twitch where like they would literally just like play a full
that's where I'm going
movie on Twitch, and like they just sit there and just like stare at it, and just like they were sitting next to you, and they'd laugh at a couple parts. They point out, oh yeah, this is that one guy who was otherwise just not adding anything to it, and just playing easy mode on streamer and getting
meanwhile
paid.
People are just donating.
Yeah, meanwhile, people are sending you money as you're watching someone else's content who makes zero of that money back, right?
Yeah. This is so bad on Twitch, so it's not even like YouTube. I don't talk about YouTube anymore, but there was a really bad one. Do you know who like Hassan Abbey is? He's just like a politics debate streamer.
I know of him, yeah.
Yeah, so he had probably the worst one I've ever seen, where he reacted to a YouTuber called JXE, who's like a British YouTuber that I'm a big fan of. They've been like AWOL for a while, but they've made really good videos and like long form videos. And one Hassan Abbey like put on JXE's video, and then as he like hit play, he just gets up, right, walks out the room. And the chair is just like chair stream, which is what he must do so often, because it's like a thing in his chat where they have an emoji of his chair. They have like an emoji of his chair, and they're like, oh, chair stream, best streamer. And then like most of Jay's video plays out, and his chat are just watching it on Hassan's stream. So Hassan's getting the viewership, Hassan's making donations. His chat are just watching the whole video, and then he comes back and he's got his food, and when he comes back, he's just like this. Just like eating his food, and then I think he says no words until like the entire JXE video it was finished, and that prompted like a response from Jay. It turned into a little bit of a big drama at the time, because JXE was like one of the first people to really call it out. It was that was
that reminds me of those streams where like they keep the cam going as they like go to sleep, and it's just like a stream of them in bed still asleep, the lights dim, and that's the whole stream, and like there's thousands of people watching. That's content.
Who the fuck is sitting down like who the fuck is sitting down like this on Twitch, like watching someone sleep and then paying donos?
I don't want to know the answer to that. I really don't know.
Yeah, but that was a little Twitch tangent anyway. But that's just reaction content.
Yeah.
Reaction content
But
will always be
yeah.
like a hot topic. It always will be, forever.
Right. It's very difficult to do right, and it's very easy to do wrong.
Yeah,
definitely. And it just hurts people in most instances. Just like the next thing, reposting.
Oh, just re-uploading someone else's shit, literally.
Yeah, just like re-uploading someone else's shit, which is easily the worst because you're not adding anything to it. But a lot of these channels exist that just like re-upload, and generally it's not like other channels stuff, although it can be. But a lot of time it's like TV shows, TV show clips, stuff like that. And I don't know how they get around the copyright.
Yeah, I don't know either. I have no idea.
Whatever YouTube uses, but I've seen a lot of these channels, and like I've seen a lot of shorts of like I mentioned earlier, David Attenborough. You know, like it'll be like a short from his documentary, and like I really love those, and I uploaded them, and now I'm seeing a bunch of them, but they're all coming from these different channels that have no affiliation with them, right?
No, it's just like
just people who like watched the documentary and just broke it up into a bunch of little chunks. And it's like, well, that's my channel. Yeah. You know, this is my content, and like as much as I like seeing those, it feels terrible that
it does feel terrible. It's not right.
Yeah,
they'll cut the clip up into like 5
watching
shorts.
Someone else's pirated, version of this that it's worse than pirating, because when you pirate something, then you're not making money off it. You're just enjoying it for yourself for free. Whereas this guy is literally putting other people's stuff out there to make money off of. So.
Mm-hmm. Pirating pirate software. Talk about pirate software again. No, I'm kidding.
All right, let's get back into the pirate software.
No.
If the algorithm is listening, this is a podcast about pirate software.
We only talk about pirate software.
Yeah, but obviously those are bad. But I think my next biggest one is challenge videos, and just how not much of a challenge it is. Because like.
You mean
challenge is like something like a tie a knot with a cherry stem in your mouth, or like just pat your head while you rub your stomach, or how fast can you say the alphabet? Stupid stuff stupid harmless stuff like that. But like these challenges on TikTok are like put your phone in the microwave, or like choke yourself till you pass out. Or like
you mean just doing stupid shit for attention, basically,
like really stupid shit, and it's a challenge, to like
it's a trend to try and make like more people do it, even though it's dangerous.
Right, exactly. And I remember the ALS challenge was like it was like the ice bucket thing. You just pour a bucket of ice on yourself. It didn't hurt anyone, and it was supposedly for raising money for ALS, which I think it actually was. Well, at least it started as. It
started that way. I don't know how many people actually did that. It started that way,
I don't know if most people even knew that.
Yeah, we did that.
But now it's a lot more like dangerous shit that they're doing, and these are like a lot of these kids are getting influenced by this, and they're following through it, and people are dying from some of the more dangerous ones. It's wild how
don't die for clout.
Absolutely unhinged these challenge videos have gone.
One of the classic ones I remember was the I don't know if you just mentioned it already, but the cinnamon challenge. That was like when I was younger, and that was a trend that I think I knew quite a few people who tried it, just because it was a popular trend where everyone it was just like
what did they say?
They, like just trying to be cool, like oh look, it's a trend. I'm just gonna I don't even know what it is. I don't know how much it's gonna hurt. Like because it's a trend. I'm gonna do it.
They talk about what they felt like after. Like what it did to them, how much it messed them up.
Yeah, it just sounds. I mean, you're literally just like ingesting a ton of dust into your lungs as a challenge for clout.
Yeah.
So it's exactly how that sounds. It's exactly what you'd expect, really. Yeah, challenge video, like stupid, kind of mass spread challenges. Yeah, those are bad.
Yeah, those definitely the worst trends, I think. How about you?
I got one down that's a bit. It's not like offensive. It's just something that like annoys me. Content houses. Content houses, and that comes in like many shapes and sizes. That could be like the Sidemen House, which is a group of like British like YouTubers who had like one of the first big groups of people to do this, like big channels, like buy like a massive house together and sort of only produce videos in that house, and that meant they were constantly just all like in each other's videos. That's the thing that happens with content houses. They're all like all part of each other's videos. It's all like a crossover. Again, like it's not really a bad trend, as in like it's there's like anything particularly harmful about it. I heard it does cause issues like interpersonally, but that's like, you know, that's just ranges from person to person. But that's just something that's kind of, people just do it for the sake of it, and it's usually a little bit annoying to see. You said re-uploading already, didn't you? Oh.
Yeah. Reposting.
This isn't even a trend, but I put this down just because it's a thing that happens on YouTube a lot, and it's annoying, and it still hasn't really been fixed. Copyright abuse. The idea that you can just copyright report someone's video and it'll just get taken down. Is that still a thing?
I think so, because their system is pretty much the same. They haven't changed it much, and it's a lot of it is automated. So when you make the claim, I don't think a human sees it until someone tries to counter it, and then maybe someone will see it. There's so much automation happening that it's so hard to fight it, right? I just heard it's really easy to make a claim. It's really hard to fight a claim.
Yeah,
which seems absurd.
It does seem absurd. Yeah, it's basically a free like. It's a free. I don't like your video, so I'm going to take it down like for free. Like I don't even have to do anything. Yeah, that's bad. That's again not really like a trend.
People are literally doing that to like grief other people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make you counter claim. Well, you don't have a claim. How are you going to do it? Well, it works because you
do it anyway.
Because they don't. Yeah, they don't check the. Like you're supposed to like upload evidence. I hear something like that.
Oh, okay.
But then how are these people getting claims on these channels that they have because obviously there's no checks and balances, because YouTube doesn't care, which is unfortunate because it's such a massive platform, and there isn't a competitor, an alternative that's viable, you know?
Yeah. Do you remember the Reply Girls? No? So the Reply Girls was the thing when, like, very early days on YouTube. This was obviously you wouldn't like get away with this now. It wouldn't really work. But like there was a group of like, they were always women, and they always had like cleavage on show, like clickbait in the thumbnails. And I don't know if they were just the ones that were popular because of the cleavage and because they were a woman, so they were like high, so they were the only ones who would like show up because they were like high profile. I don't know, but it was always like a very similar video. They were videos with similar framing, like a person standing, a woman standing, and then talking about a video. But they would make the title of their video like exactly the same as the video that you want to watch. So when you search in the video that you want to watch, or you're already watching the video that you're watching, like an actual YouTube video from someone that you're subscribed to or whatever, it would always either come up in your search, or it would come up like directly after or below the video that you watched every time, to the point where you click on a video and then like the up next would be like 10 Reply Girl videos, and they are all like almost the same thumbnail but with a different woman, the same framing of the shot, the same title. Like and they called themselves Reply Girls, like it was kind of like a movement. I don't know, but it was just free views because they didn't have to do anything. They just used they somehow found a way to manipulate things that they were just associated with the videos that they targeted. So everyone was seeing them. Like the amount of engagements they must have had was like the same as the video. It's the same as the video that they were targeting. They would get all of the engagement off it. Yeah.
Wow.
They fixed it somehow. I don't know. I was so little. I don't know what happened, but it was never seen again. Yeah.
That
it was
reminds me of another, I don't know if it was a trend, but it's definitely something that's picked up. My channel, my YouTube channel, I have a separate account for, and it's got a separate algorithm, because of what I watched. And like, I've watched a lot of animated videos on there because that's what I make. So a lot of my algorithm, it gives me animated stuff. And like, there's like, I've seen in this last couple of years, like an increase in like just lewd animations, like it's not YouTube. Even like, like it's not even like a skit or something. It's just like some animated, like some like booby anime girl, just like jumping around or wearing something skimpy. Like and that's it. That's the whole thing. And like the video has like millions of hits because like a bunch of thirsty guys on the internet like watching this stuff.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's come up in my feed because obviously it's
popular and it's animated,
popular or whatever. And like you'll do the not interested thing on it, but they'll keep popping up. All these different artists are doing it, and it's and it makes sense. It's like, oh, I draw Pretty Woman. People like Pretty Woman. Okay, there we go. But it's just so vapid, so soulless, and it's just. I mean, I understand why they're popular, but it's just so.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Yeah, anything lewd like that obviously shouldn't be allowed. Shouldn't be on the platform anyway. But like, I feel like YouTube has a double standard for a couple of things like that because YouTube have always taken a stance like forever about like how they, you're not allowed to show like extreme violence or any kind of like, like severe injuries or death or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they always make a pass for pro-Ukraine videos. You're allowed to watch like Russian soldiers die on YouTube. There's so many videos. You can just search like, Ukraine combat footage. And it's not vague or blurred. You can just watch like Russians get shot like at point blank range. You can watch like bombs going off. You can watch grenades. You can watch so much death. If you just look into like I don't even see it for Israel. I only see it for Ukraine.
I think one of the factors of that is Ukraine. It's a drone war for them. It's a new version of war that's out, and it's highly focused on drones and unmanned aircraft and stuff like that. Yeah. Like there's just so much happening. Like you've heard about the attack that Ukraine did on Russia, where
the spiderweb.
Literally, like they parked. They had semis drop off little boxes that had drones launch, and they all hit like different airports. And
it's like a Call of Duty mission. It's literally like a Call of Duty mission.
Yeah, and so like they have specifically squads of like drone operators, and then you have counter drone measures, and then like you have drones that like instead of using radio, they'll use fiber optic cable like miles long. To counter the counter drone intelligence. So you have like a cat and mouse thing going on. Like it's the new level of warfare, and it's the stage is Ukraine because that's where it's happening. And so Israel is just, they're just doing the whole, we'll throw bombs and as long as one of the people dead is what we're looking for, then the rest of the people were probably combatants too. That's just what Israel does. So they didn't even step into Iran. They just well, they probably do have Mossad there or whatever the hell, but they mainly just bomb the shit out of it. So that's why you get more video from Ukraine because it's all the drone action is happening there, and it's literally the feeds that you're seeing the drone operators see. Whereas Israel does make sense. Probably classify all that stuff, but Ukraine, they want it to go out there because it's showing them that they're literally fighting a war.
Yeah.
And B, the technology that they've been giving is useful and it's working. So that's why I would say there's so much more. And I feel like the reason that it's on YouTube is because you can have filters for like nudity, trained off, like nude images and stuff. So the AI can like see, when something isn't like a nipple or whatever, a private part, and it can kind of identify that, and they can read text. So that's how, or they can read, not read, but they can hear spoken words, and they can decide, which words are banned, which is how people avoid the words because they know. So they can see words and speech, or they can hear words and speech. They can see nudity and stuff. They can see copyrighted video, but like there isn't really a trained data set for like people dying, right? Or getting hurt. Yeah. So I couldn't imagine how. Yeah, I couldn't imagine how they'd specifically be able to find that out. So that's why I think that it would be much more difficult to.
Okay, I didn't even think about that, to be honest. I was thinking about it from a manual perspective, but like there's so many videos that it's not realistic manually. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. It probably is just like an algorithm oversight. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's so much of it, and the videos get so popular that YouTube is not taking them down.
Well, first of all, someone has to
reasons.
flag it, right?
Yeah.
And like most of the people watching this video are like, Russians dead, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So most of the people probably support Ukraine, and they don't care about,
Mm-hmm.
It's probably Russians are the majority of the people flagging these.
Yeah.
Right. And they're the ones who can't keep up. And if you flag them, they're just going to get uploaded again, anyways. So it doesn't really matter too much about that. Like the volume of them, I'm sure, isn't as that insane, but just the fact that they come so often, there's so many new of them, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just so consistent that they're being added that they're just always going to be there.
I guess so. Yeah, that does make sense. It's also the first time, like you said, like you kind of sort of said before, with how it's the first like real drone like technology war. Yeah. It's also just easily the most surveilled, like the most recorded conflict of all time.
Yeah,
I think
one of
like
the most recorded,
most Ukrainians are carrying GoPros. Like it's kind of standard because obviously they want to use that footage. Like they want that footage for like for proof and for record and just for uploading it on YouTube. It's like that footage is so useful. It's so useful, so it's that they want as much of that as possible. So it's it's easily the most recorded conflict, easily.
Mm-hmm. And Ukraine, they like you said, they got it all on video. It's a record. Yeah. Whereas Russia, they're using a lot of the same equipment, but we don't seem to be seeing much videos out of there. We don't see a lot. Because,
no.
Yeah, it's probably not as entertaining when you're shooting rockets at civilian sites rather than using drones as precision strikes.
I think YouTube might draw the line there.
Right. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's a lot to do with not only the record of the war, but just getting it out there. Keeping it in the public eye that there is still a war.
It's still going on, even if like eyes are on Israel right now. Like
right. It's still going on. People are still dying. It's still fighting for life or death. So. I mean, as terrible as it is to see those, I feel like they do serve a higher purpose.
They absolutely do.
People who want to see other people die, they really do they really do need to be up there.
Like without that kind of coverage, like opinion on that war could be completely different. Mm-hmm. Like without just constant reminders of what's going on and proof of like, just the brutality, like. It's really important that the world is seeing all of that. So I guess it is in some ways there's a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah. Well, the talking about war was kind of a strange tangent, but
yeah.
Sometimes you got to get into everything, right?
Sometimes you do have to get. Why did we talk about war? Oh, because I was talking about
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube
that makes sense. Yeah.
But, well, we covered a good bit.
Yeah, I think I'm good there. Right. We I ranted about fucking Nightreign for 45 minutes, so that took up most of the time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Yeah, thank you, Peter.
No problem.